Everybody, have you heard the news? Got a brand new show that's breaking all the rules. Started out from BA and now we on the move from local to global, cause we got something to prove. Came from the bottom, now we at the tippy top to hold it down for our people, cause we all we got. This is cold, cold world, but we keeping it hot. With our future on the line, ain't no time to stop. All work over here, still we having fun. Yeah, we say it like it is, ain't no holding our tongue. Go get us on the team, yeah, we getting it done. And shout out to Travell, yo, you number one. It started with a dream that turned into a vision. Now educated new generations is our mission. Ears to the streets, yeah, we steady politicking. If it ain't about to change, mind your business.
Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it.
Yo, what up? This your boy Super K from Super Sound Lounge, rocking with your favorite podcast, Wait Again a Minute, listed on all platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Tidal, Spotify.
Y'all know the vibes.
Tune in.
Welcome to another episode of Wait Again a Minute podcast. Today is Thursday, January 27, 2022. Today is season 4, episode 11, 4 of 4 of the influential People of Hampton Roads. I actually did that, y'all.
4 the tongue twister.
Yeah, it actually was. But hey, I made it through. But anyway, today we have a special guest, and his name is Mr. David Wilson. So, Mr. Wilson, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm here, so I'm good. I'm good.
Thank God.
So, Ms. Go Getter, how has your day been?
Monday's been productive.
Doing what?
Working.
Okay.
How have your day been? Doing nothing.
No, actually, I worked a lot today. Actually, I did. I was real busy today. A very productive day, as you would say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I earned my keep today. Put it that
way.
Way.
Good. Finally.
But anyway, Mr. Wilson, before we get started, I want to actually thank you for accepting our invitation. I know it's kind of strange, somebody DMing you, but being that we made a post and asked about the influential people in Hampton Roads, your peers thought enough of you to post you. So in actuality, like, how did it make you feel when you read it?
It actually caught me completely off guard.
How?
I'm not one of those people that puts myself out there like that. So for someone to put my name in, it was definitely a shocker to me.
Okay.
It definitely made me feel good as well to know that someone thought enough of that. But I'm the type of person, I like to stay as far in the background as possible.
Right.
Push everybody else up front. So for this to pull me out, I'm like, okay, well, thank
that's
you.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's me. I understand.
But it's time though. Just like I was explaining to you when we were all talking prior to the episode, it's your time, it's your season. So why not walk in it with confidence and get your flowers while you're yet here?
There is a time in the season for everything, and like you say, maybe this is that time. So whatever God is doing, I'm just along for the ride. Do what you do.
Exactly. You on cruise control.
Oh, definitely.
Just like me. Okay, so now that we got that all out the way, can you please explain to introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners? Oh, wait again a minute.
Okay, where to start? Well, born and raised in Chesapeake, Virginia. Born to David A. Wilson Sr., my father, my superhero, my mother, Miss Ellen Wilson. I am the oldest twin of 3 sons. Let's see.
I mean, where did you go to school? How did you
but it's like that sometimes. Don't feel bad because it's like that sometimes. Sometimes it's hard, especially when you're not the person that's always talking or in the front. It's hard to describe yourself or talk about yourself.
Yeah, and I don't like talking about myself.
Why? But why you don't like talking about yourself?
I'm really the type of person that I'd rather just meld into the background, blend in. Yeah.
I don't like talking about myself.
And people think it's crazy because they see me up front doing so much, but they don't realize I'm literally forcing myself to actually do the things that I'm doing because I like to stay in the back.
In the back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what else you want to tell us about you?
She asked where I went to school.
Mhm.
Chesapeake Public Schools. From there, I went to, after graduating, ITT Technical Institute.
Oh, you went to ITC? You know, I
Yes.
went there too, and they took all that money. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's a
You
whole
had a
nother
flashback,
conversation.
right. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, and from there, years down the line, after I started my business, I decided to go back to school, and I went to Stratford University.
Okay.
So,
And what did you go to Stratford for?
business administration.
Okay,
Okay.
you skipped one part though.
Mhm.
You went from ITT, then you mentioned vaguely started my business, then I went to Stratford, but you didn't tell us the business you started after ITT. What's the name of your business? What
I started my own men's clothing line, D. Anthony
Okay.
Design, the Apparel of Kings.
Okay.
I started that. Actually, it started in 2008.
Mhm.
2013, I actually made it official, and let's see, in 2020, during the pandemic, is when I actually went and applied for my LLC. So now I'm officially a LLC to
Okay.
separate my business from my personal.
Right.
And then 2013 is when I actually went back to Stratford University,
Okay.
because when I started my business, I wanted to make sure that I knew the business aspect.
Right.
I don't want to depend on everybody else to do my stuff, and I not know what's going on. So
Gotcha.
that's why I went back to school for that.
Okay.
Both of my parents are also entrepreneurs, so that's like the driving force behind me wanting to be an entrepreneur as well.
Okay. So you kind of came up that way. So you kind of something that you always wanted to do.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, I get it. Now, let's dig a little bit into you far as the mentoring and stuff like that with the kids. Like, give us a little bit about that.
How I actually got into it. In 2005, a very good friend of mine, Jessica Freeman, she approached me
Mm-hmm.
with a ministry that she had called Arise, is the Arise Youth Conference.
Okay.
And it was based off of the scripture in Mark where Jesus went to, I think it was Jairus and his daughter, where his daughter had died.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone there said, "Oh my God, she's dead, she's dead." And when Jesus came, he said, "No, she's not dead. She's just asleep. Damsel, arise." He had to clear everybody out of the room that was sitting there crying, going in, like we do when people die.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no, y'all got the
Acting
wrong
a
idea.
fool.
Move
Mhm.
out the way. Let me take care of this. He stretched forth, called her up, and then she got up. She was just asleep. So we liken that to our youth in the
Mhm.
community. There are so many young people that have dreams and visions, but they don't have people to inspire them to actually go further and pursue those dreams.
Right.
So
Correct.
it would seem like after a while, those dreams are dead. They're just gone. No,
Mhm.
those dreams are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they're dormant. They're sleeping right now.
Right.
Okay.
So we want to pull those young people out to actually inspire them again to pull those dreams up. So it's time for you to live, go pursue. So that's where that came from.
Okay. So now when you're doing that, like how many is it a certain amount? Is it no, first of all, it's like a two-part question. The first one, is it just boys and girls? Or and then two, what is the requirement in order, like who is it that you guys seek and how do you seek them? Put it that way.
It originally started, well, it's always going to be both male and female.
Okay.
So there's no restriction on gender at all. We've tried to focus on middle to high school. However, the last year that we did it, we actually opened it up to elementary school as well. And a part about that, we actually had a young elementary school lady that went to her mother, said, "You know what? I want to do something for the kids in my age group." So she
Okay.
actually, an elementary school kid, developed her own curriculum. And she brought it to us, and we were like, "Well, sure, why not?" So we gave her the opportunity to present it, and we brought in elementary that year as well. But what we do is a mentoring aspects where we bring business owners from the communities. We have medical careers, music, both instrumental and vocal,
Mm-hmm.
engineering, STEM education, um, cosmetology, culinary
cover it
arts.
all.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
We want to provide whatever avenue that we can to give you hands-on training of what it is that you want to do. So
Okay.
that way, when you actually get a feel for it, you can further say, okay, this is what I want to further pursue. Let me
Mhm.
go, or this isn't what I thought it was. Let me look at something else.
Right?
Okay.
Yes.
So the young lady that approached you, why did she approach you? Was she already involved in doing youth mentoring?
She is a youth pastor.
Okay.
She started at her church in New York, Faith Mission Baptist Church.
Mhm.
She came down here to be a student at Hampton University.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
She's actually very much so one of the smartest people that I know. She's actually was studying for her doctorate in physics.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay,
She wants to
girl.
work for
who
NASA
is
and all
this?
that. Dr. Jessica Freeman. I'm calling her doctor now because
Speaking
it's
into
coming.
existence.
Oh,
That's
yes.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Jessica A. Freeman. She is the president of the Arise Youth Conference. And so this February, usually every February is when we do it. And this February, I think we'll be coming up to 17 years that we've been doing it.
Wow.
Okay, so
Yes.
you've been doing this mentoring program for 17 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Before COVID came, the last conference that we had over 500 youth registered, and about 90% of them actually came.
Wow.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's
So
great.
when you first started 17 years ago, do you remember how many students you had registered and participated?
There were maybe about 40 to 50.
That's good
that
for the
came.
first start.
Mhm.
So now you're up in the hundreds.
Yes.
Mhm.
Really? So how often do you do it? Is this like every week, every month, once a year?
It's every year in February. It's usually the weekend of President's Day because that's when the kids are out of school to get a free break. But what we're trying to do as well is branch out to do, like, so when spring break comes, have a program during spring break.
Okay, gotcha.
When the summer comes, do something during the summer to keep them engaged all year long. Because you know, when you come just once a year, you get it, but then by the time you do everything
Go
else,
back home. Yeah, you
Right.
forgot it.
Yeah.
So it's a once a year for a weekend, and you have all these students.
Friday, Saturday, Friday night, we usually start with maybe like an opening service
Right.
celebration. Saturday during the day, all day long from the morning until lunchtime, you're in classes. You can pick up to 2 tracks that you want.
Mhm.
So that way it gives you the opportunity to study different areas.
Okay.
Then we break for lunch. We come back for an afternoon session, and then we have a big closing celebration every year where the kids get to put on display all that they learned during the week.
Oh, okay.
So what did you guys do? If you can recall, what did you guys do to increase those students, to get them so interested, to have that many students interested in coming? Because that's good.
It's
Yeah.
really having people to really be invested in it.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why a lot of our youth don't come out is because people aren't really taking the time anymore to really invest in it.
Right.
So if a young person were to come up to me right now and say, "Hey, I want to be a doctor," and if I know a doctor, I'm not going to just say, "Okay, well, that's great. You go ahead and you be a doctor." No, I'm going to do all that I can to link you with someone that can give you great
Right.
insight on what
Right.
it is to be.
Right.
So when a lot of them are church kids,
Mhm.
which is great because, well, I'm a church boy through and through. I grew up in church. I'm not that deep, speaking in tongues, rolling in the
Right.
floor, but I keep it real with the youth,
Right.
on the level that they are.
Right.
So they feel comfortable coming in and talking with me about certain things because they know I'm going to give you the word,
Right.
but I'm not going to just be like, okay, but you can't do nothing but just live. No, there's a whole life out here to live.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay,
Wow.
so now that was gonna be my next question because Black Guru asks, is it a Christian based program?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Most
So,
definitely.
And I think, and go along with what Ms. Go-Getter said, that the program, by being 17 years, it kind of speaks for itself, because maybe the kids see, they have heard about it, and they may be eager to want to join or be a part. And I think that it would do them much good if you guys do, like you just said, as far as on the breaks, because it gives them something to look forward to, keeps them out the street.
Right.
And that would be good. I'm sure, like, let me ask you this. As far as the cost of it, like, do they have to pay for that?
It is completely free. For 17 years, we have
wow.
never charged a dime.
What?
And God is amazing because anything we've ever needed, we've prayed, we went out, and then everything has been given to us. We don't
Wow.
charge for food. We don't charge for the even the buildings that we've had. They've opened their doors to us completely for free. We even partnered with Thomas Nelson Community College one year. They opened the doors completely for free, gave us full access to their, like, for our medical careers. We were able to take our students into where they have the actual lifelike mannequins. So you could see, okay, this is what it's like to give birth. This is what it's like to X, Y, and Z. So many opportunities that have come up. I have a friend, Mr. Matthew Caldwell. He's actually the band director at Phoebus High School. He's come every year and taught our instrumental class. And to see the kids literally almost running in to get in, they don't even want to go to the other class. They just want to sit.
Right.
But it's because of the personalities of the teachers that we have that engage them.
The
Say,
energy,
I want to, yes.
So over the last 17 years, like your students that came early on in earlier years, have you had any of them like go on to become what they, said they want to become, or either even come back to speak and participate in a mentoring program themselves?
Yes, we've definitely had every year, majority of them come back. They're looking for it. Some have gone off to college because, like I said, we middle to high school. Some may be in college right now, but yeah, we've never had a bad comment about what we do. Now that I'm thinking about us, that's actually amazing to be able to say that.
It is, especially to maintain that and then increase it over 17 years without a decrease. It's actually increasing, and then it's free. So that means you guys are providing for 100, 200, 400, 500 students. That's amazing.
Yes, ma'am. God is good.
So now let me ask you this: far as the curriculum, well, the workshop and stuff that you guys do, you stated that you have people that are actually in that profession that is actually over those classes.
Yes.
Wow. So now, how do you all get those people? Do you ask them, or do you just they just kind of like volunteer?
We do ask them, and they are on a volunteer basis. Now, the majority of them that come every year is like, look, they're coming to us. When are y'all doing the next one? So they can join again.
They're ready. Yeah.
But we will never turn anyone away just because we have someone that we've been working with for years that does the music portion. That doesn't mean we're not open to someone else coming in.
Right.
Because we have like you said, over 500 kids that came the last time. We need as many hands as possible, even those just volunteer. One thing that we have also done is we've opened it up to, we have so many youth leaders in these churches that are like, look, well, we want a class too. So even we've had adults to come and be a part of it. So, and they really enjoy it.
Wow.
That's really good. That's really good. Because that would be something that you guys might want to branch out to. And it's shocking that after all these years, you guys haven't branched out into doing it like several times a year. But what about other cities, or any city, any student, or just
right? It's crazy that you bring it up. So right now we're on the peninsula side, Hampton.
Okay.
But that's where we've been able to find most of the places where people are willing to donate.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
However, like I said, we started in New York City. We want to actually branch out and take it to every city, for every state. Yes, because it's not just something for here. We can be mentors to anyone, anywhere.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't realize it's not just contained to your own community. Go out into the hedges and highways.
Yeah.
And
compel them to come. That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know that she probably feels good, and I'm sure you do too. But for you, what does it do for you? Like, how does it make you feel when you guys put in that hard work and you see the kids, the excitement on their faces, see that how eager they are to be there? How does it make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel wonderful. Most definitely. I don't have any kids at all. I don't look to have any kids.
Right.
So all of these are my kids.
That's right.
So when I see them come in, I may not be able to remember everyone's name, but I remember every single face.
That's right.
I remember the interactions that I had with them last year, the year before. So now I'm able to tell them, look, we talked about this last year. How you doing now?
Right.
Okay. I can see your progress. Good. Right. So yes.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you too. Have you ever had kids that come and you see them struggling with something? Have they ever confided in you? Saying, hey, Mr. Wilson, hey, Mr. David, or whatever they call you. I'm having an issue. Like, how would you, if you could think of one scenario, without naming the person, what was the scenario and how did you handle it?
Well, you know, nowadays we have so much going on with bullying.
Correct.
So I've had a couple of the young people come to me talking, like, I can tell people, like, when you're real standoffish, like you sit back and you just look, you don't want to interact. I was like that myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've dealt with bullying before it was even called bullying in school. So I know all of those things. Okay, wait a minute, something's going on. I can kind of reach you. So
Right.
when they come to me, I can tell them, okay, well, look, you know, I went through that as well. It's not just something that you can just say, oh, well, pray about it, it'll be all right. No, you actually have to put in some work.
You have to put in that work.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
But
correct.
knowing that you have someone in contact with you that has been through the same thing, it makes it a little easier for you to deal with it. And that way
Okay.
you can pursue and go further.
Right. And that's absolutely true. Now, another thing, the students, now, say the child is, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12, they're in middle school. So are they able to go every year, or do you have like a cutoff for the amount of students you can take in, or the amount of times they can come? So they can come from whatever year they start all the way up till the cutoff age. What's the cutoff age?
There is no cutoff. We say middle to high school, but there's no cutoff age because, like you said too, if they want to come back the next year, okay, guess what? You've been through this program all these years. Now it's your time to mentor.
Absolutely.
yes.
Look,
Absolutely.
You're instilling that in you. So not only here, when you go back to your own church, your own
Right.
school, in your own community, the stuff that you've learned here,
Or
take
in
it back.
somebody else.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We've had kids that have been on. So they, after the conference was over, it was like, look, I had such an amazing time. They bring friends back the next year, and then the next year they bring friends back. So yeah.
So yeah, that I know if it was me and that was my program, I would feel, you know, just like you know, like when you see, you know, you went from 50 kids to 500 kids, and then you only got to take care of them for a couple of days. I mean, it's no more perfect than that.
Yeah.
You know, but do you stay in contact with some of the kids like throughout? Like some of them, you know, like you said, some of them may be going through some things, so you might kind of want to check up on them throughout the year, or you just kind of just like deal with them while they're there and pray with them. And I'm going about their way.
No, we try to stay. Look,
She said, "Let them go about their way."
right. We definitely stay in contact. What we do, we make sure that we get all phone numbers, emails, social media handles. We have a Facebook and Instagram page that we all try to stay in contact with, putting up content, let you know, hey, the conference is coming back. They can DM us, of course. We will give out our phone numbers because, you know, if you want to call, talk to us, pray, then let's do that. I actually did mental health for my full-time job that I have now. I started in 2008 as a day treatment counselor. And even to this day, some of those youth that I mentored, I'm still in contact with now. Because we've developed that relationship, and they know no matter what, you can reach out to Mr. Wilson. I'm always going to be here for you.
Right.
They know Mr. Wilson going to tell you the truth. But hey, I mean, hey, I'm here. That's what I'm here for. God puts us here to be a help to everyone. So
okay, so you say you do mental health now too? That's your day job, mental health.
My day job, yes, at Agape Counseling and Therapeutic Services. I started in 2008 as a day treatment counselor, and from there I transitioned because I did not go to school for mental health. I am not a Okay. So let's get that straight. Okay.
Right, because I was gonna say, hold on, Lord, what are you trying to say? Now? You had 3-4 people up here, and
all
they all mental health.
Like, wait a minute.
Well, come on, Lord,
I saw the last podcast. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We need counseling. So you transition to
actually to be the executive administrator of the company.
Okay.
So while I was there, eventually I got to the point where, you know, my old supervisor and I just weren't seeing eye to eye anymore.
Gotcha.
And it got to the point where I was literally like, y'all let me quit or I'm gonna quit, and it's just gonna be that. But not knowing that people were putting my name in the ears of the owners, saying, okay, Mr. Wilson does this, Mr. Wilson does that.
Right.
I wasn't doing anything to try to get that. I was just trying to do my job.
Correct.
But when they heard that I was trying to quit, they was like, wait a minute, no, because we need some help.
Mm-hmm.
They are two Black entrepreneurs as well, two Black women that started this business. And they never had an assistant. They were basically doing everything on their own. And when you have such a large company, you can't do everything yourself because then things will fall in the cracks. So they was like, we heard about your organizational skills and whatnot. We want to bring you on as our assistant. So that's how I transitioned out of the actual counseling
in the field
into the administration part. But any job that I've ever had, for some reason, I've always transitioned to administration. That's one of the giftings that God has given me. So
you actually, you're organized.
I am OCD to the max. Like if I walk in my house, I'm one of those people that I can just stop at the door like something's off.
Something off, yeah.
And I'm not gonna sleep until I find what it is, put it back in place. Yeah, I'm that particular.
And move forward. Well, I'm enjoying this conversation thus far, but we got to pay some bills right quick. And so hold on to your thought, Ms. Go Get. I see your wheels turning. It's a celebration. It's going down February the 3rd, 2022. The grand opening of Renee's Restaurant and Lounge, 156 West Washington Street, Suffolk, VA. Good food, drinks, theme nights like Taco Thursday, Pastor Mike Sunday brunch. Come on, y'all. Come feed your soul. Renee's Restaurant and Lounge. That's right, y'all. If y'all in Suffolk or you in Hampton Roads, you're not too far. When you feel like letting your hair down, your hair, you don't have a haircut or whatever, you want to chill. February the 3rd, Renee's Restaurant and Lounge will be open.
Okay.
156 West Washington Street, Suffolk, VA. So,
it's
for 40 and up. You can't. I'm telling you, it's gonna be the spot for Suffolk for us older people.
Okay.
Because the younger people with the pants hanging down won't be in there.
I can't stand it. No.
I can't either. And when I see them, I get nervous.
Right.
And that's sad. Yeah. But let's get back to our topic. So I wanted to know, in 3 to 5 years, where do you see yourself and what do you see yourself doing?
In 3 to 5 years, I will be completely working for myself with my business, Anthony Designs, and traveling as much as possible.
I think that seemed to be the thing for everybody. Everybody says traveling.
Yeah, I stay on the road as much as possible. That's my get away from everything.
Right.
And so since COVID came, so for the month of March every year, I take the whole entire month off from everything and I just travel, just do me.
Oh wow, that's good.
Thank you, Jesus.
Tell the Lord thank you.
Right. But see, the thing is, all year long, I'm doing everything for everybody else. I'm involved in so much. And you have to get to a point when you're like that, you have to make yourself stop. Look,
right,
you're going to burn yourself out.
Right.
So that's my time to just focus on me and my brother. Like I said, I have a twin brother. He's not like me at all.
Oh, yeah. So y'all night and day?
To a degree.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's thinking about it. He's like,
yeah.
Pretty much.
No, we're definitely, we have the twin thing. Okay, you know how you say some twins, they know when something's going on.
Okay.
So I can be thinking the song, he'll just start singing it, or in the opposite and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We can start talking at the same time, get ready to say the same thing. We got it like that.
So are y'all identical?
No, we're fraternal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I am the one that's if I get something in my head that needs to be done, I'm gonna do it right then. He'll get to it when he get to it.
So he's a procrastinator a little bit, or he just takes his time.
He takes his time. I won't say he's a procrastinator.
Okay.
Yeah. We're different in the aspect of I hate school. Although I push school I push education to everybody. Know what type of education works for you, though.
Correct. Right.
So,
absolutely, yeah.
like I said, when I graduated from high school, I didn't want to go to a 4-year college. I was like, this is too much. I just got out of 12 years of school here. I'm not going to do that. So that's why I went to ITT, Tech. My brother, he actually got a scholarship to Johnson & Wales University, a full ride from. Yeah, he did a competition when we were at Great Bridge High School. And now he's actually pursuing his doctorate degree.
Oh,
so I'm pushing him look, I'm in your corner, do it, because I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
I'm happy with I got the knowledge that I need for right now.
Right.
Yeah. But when my kids that I mentor, and like I say, I'm pushing education. But one of the things, going back to what we do. Although we do professions like doctors, lawyers, and all that kind of stuff, and we actually bring in different colleges to help them navigate. Okay, you might want to go to this university, yeah. But we also push. Okay, everybody's not meant to go to a 4-year school.
Right. Absolutely.
Some people go to tech school. We still need electricians, construction workers, all that kind of stuff. Because if you really look at it, a lot of folks that go to school and get all these degrees and stuff,
They don't even work in their field.
right?
They don't work in,
And a lot of that's because their parents push them. No, you have to go to school. You have to go to school, which that's great. But don't force me to go to school for a degree that I don't want and I'm never going to use.
Right.
So that's what I like about what we do as well. We help them to find it, so you're not wasting time. Some people go to Tidewater Community
But it's not
College.
always
Well,
wasting time. It's wasting money
well,
too.
that too. Yeah.
And then you're sitting there trying to pay for something you didn't even want.
Or you in school and you transfer your major 3-4 times while you're there, and you go from 4 years to 12 years, and then you still come out and not work. No.
Yeah.
Don't give me all
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Because and I'm with you on that. And I think a lot of parents, they do push school on their kids, but I'm like, your kid.
Right.
So why would you want to push that child to go to school when he or she had problems in the lower school?
Right.
So when they go to, and a lot of times when they go to college, they're not ready. They're not mentally ready. You have to be mentally ready for something like that.
And that's the thing that I love about my parents. They never forced us to do anything. They instilled in us, you need an education.
Correct.
By far. But they didn't tell us, you have to go here. No, you're out of high school now. You have to do this. You have to know. They allowed us to make the decisions, and then they pushed us towards what we said what we wanted to do.
Okay.
So that's what made it easier for me with my business that I have. That's not even something that I thought that I wanted to do. So growing up as a kid, when you're in elementary school, you give a kid a piece of paper and a crayon, they draw, and they give you, hey, mommy, this is you. I wasn't that kid at all.
Me either.
Yeah, but you give me a piece of paper and a pencil, and then I'm coming back, look at my floor plan.
Oh, wow.
I'm drawing houses and all that kind of stuff. I remember when we got our first
architect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when we first got our first computer, it was actually DOS. A lot of people don't know about that. It was just a word processor, just a green screen with a flashing light. In elementary school, I figured out how to get on the computer, hold the button down, and get a straight line. Then I went over and figured out how to use a capital I and go down, then how many spaces to go to the next. And before you know it, I'm printing stuff off and taking look at my floor plan. And my parents are like, wait, what is this? How do you know how to do this? But my mind would just work different. So even coming up in school, I didn't mesh with everybody because I wasn't thinking like everybody else. I never knew what an architect was. All I knew is this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
So that's why when I graduated from high school, when ITT Tech came around, my parents were actually taking my youngest brother there because he wanted to go into the electrical program.
Okay.
I didn't know that they had CAD and what all that kind of stuff was. But when I heard it, I was like, okay, and I didn't got to go to school for 4 years. Yeah, sign me up for that.
Yeah.
So that's what I went to. When I graduated in 99, I actually went into naval architecture, designing and shipboard outfitting for aircraft carriers. So that's where I started in the architecture field, even though my desire was to actually do residential commercial. September 11th happened, and we were government funded, so all of our funding was taken away. So basically, I lost my job. But I had a cousin who was an actual architect. He allowed me to come in and sit with him, and then that's when I learned the residential side. And to this day, I can drive down the street and I can look at certain churches, buildings, and stuff. And I'm just like, I drew the plans for that. And people don't know that. I was like, wow, yeah.
No, I see different from me because I'd be like, you know what? Oh, New Jerusalem. I drew that.
Yeah.
I drew that. Like trust and believe. It was just a couple of acres of land. I drew that. So but you're so humble, which is a good thing. But like I said, this is your season. It's time to walk out front.
Yeah.
And receive it. Now you said that you did architect. You were architect, but your business is
Clothing.
clothing.
So how that came about?
Right. I'm like, hold on now.
I'm thinking,
I know I'm a little slow
I
now.
picked that too, Gam, and I'm thinking like, well, maybe because he's drawing his clothes, so maybe that's how it all blended in because he tried the design.
Well, while I was working for my cousin, he could not bring on any actual employees.
Okay.
He was a
Small business.
yeah, small business.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I was working for him, just getting knowledge. Basically, what he would give me a couple of $100 a week just to say thank you so much, and that was great. But it got to the point where I'm like, look, I need some benefits.
Yeah.
So I started substitute teaching for Suffolk Public Schools. And
Oh,
that's how
really?
I actually got into Nasman River High School.
Mhm.
That's where I was.
That's my old school.
See, I was over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So from there is how I transitioned into Agape, where I am currently.
Okay.
Because I had so many years of working with kids there. That's what qualified me to work with them on the mental health
The mental
side.
health.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm always the type of person, even though I'm state in the background, I express myself through the way that I dress or whatever. Now, coming up in church, there was certain things you couldn't
Right.
do.
Right.
You got to be holy. So it wasn't a rebellious thing, but a lot of people that know me now, nobody remembers actually what I used to look like when I had hair. Okay. So I used to have
looking at your head like I can
Right.
I can remember and I don't even know.
I had a head full of hair,
Mhm.
and I used to dye it. It's been dyed like every color that you can think of.
What?
Yeah, people wouldn't think like what? Yeah. So that's how I express myself through my hair.
Okay.
But it's a hereditary thing in my family. A lot of us men, we lose our hair, so ain't got it now. So from there, what I did, one of my good friends, and he's actually one of my mentors now, Riddick. He moved to New York to go to fashion design school.
Okay.
And so while he was there, I was getting him to make me different outfits and whatnot. But in 2008, he made the decision, I just want to focus on women's clothes. And he was like, I'm sorry, that's it. And I was like, no, I don't have it. What am I going to do? So I was walking through a store one day. And then I saw down on the little end cap, a little miniature sewing machine, like one of the kids' sewing machines.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? Let me try this. So the machine was only like $20 some. I brought the machine. I went to the fabric store, got some fabric, and I got a pattern. And when I went to the house, I opened the pattern up, and I just immediately started screaming.
I know I would. I've been like, what in the world?
But the thing was, when I opened it, I was like, I have blueprints. My architectural background. That's all I saw. I got blueprints.
Wow.
I know how to look at a blueprint, and I can go out and build a house because I know how to look at the blueprint. So I equated that to the patterns for the sewing. It's the same thing. You have to have your pattern, your blueprint. You get your materials, you cut them out, and then you put them together.
Right.
So that's how that meshed. But the thing was too, I didn't know how to sew.
Exactly. That's all I'm gonna say. But did you know how to? I understand you knew the blueprint, but when it comes to that machine, did you know anything about that machine?
That's what I was waiting for, that part.
Yeah. So when I started on that, I tell you, it was some of the ugliest stuff that you would ever. And I'm frustrated, but people tell me the machine does the work. You just put the materials in there. Let the machine do the work. So once I got that, I said, okay. So I am a proud graduate of YouTube University.
I second that.
Yes. So when I get my mindset to something, nothing's going to stop me from doing that. And that's what I try to put in these young people too. I will ask somebody, okay, look, I'm trying to learn this. Can you show me?
Right.
They say, okay, I'll do it. And they go by. If I see them second time, look, I asked you, I'm not going to ask the third time.
Oh, I heard you, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah. I'm going to get up and find out myself.
That's right.
There's so much information out here. Anything you want to do, you want to know, get on the internet.
Right.
That's right.
Find out. You may not have I didn't go to school to learn how to be a fashion designer. I went on YouTube and I taught myself. Now, people all over everywhere, I was like, look, I love this. Can you make me this? it blew my mind the first time someone saw my work and was like, I want you to make me one. Because I'm saying, okay, I'm looking at it. See, from the outside, stuff looks good.
Right.
But what I was taught, you need to flip that thing inside out and see what it looks like on the inside, because that's going to tell you the real story. How was it constructed and all this? I'm like, you looking at this, but you ain't seeing how I had to piece it together in here to.
And you know what? I don't mean to cut across you, but you know what? You are exactly right, because I'm gonna laugh about it now, but I had somebody make me something and it looked good on the outside, but when I tell you everything and its mama was hanging, and I was like, oh my God, to where it's like it made me not want to use anybody else, just buy from the store. But I was like, no, I can't, I can't do that. Maybe it didn't take his time. It was just him. So yeah, that's definitely true. Everything was falling apart.
And what I tell everybody, so for instance, my clothing line was a vision that was given to me. Like I said, I'm born and raised in church. My former pastor, Superintendent Whitey Thurgood, we were in church one day. And while he was preaching, he actually called me out. He called me up front. He said, God has a word for you.
In front of everybody?
Yeah.
And you just got up boldly. The one that sits back and don't want to get up just got up boldly.
But understand this. If I'm around people that I know,
good.
You are my community.
Okay.
Look, anybody, like if you were to talk to anybody out on the street that will see me, they would say, oh, Dave is a cut up for real. But if I'm around people I don't know, like yo, when I came in and sat and we just started talking, I could get a little feel, okay, now I'm good.
Yeah.
But originally I was like, you don't know how many times I was about to pick up the phone and say, look, I'm sorry, emergency came up, I can't make it. I'm that type of person. Yeah. Well, yeah, so he called me up and he's like, God has a word for you. And he told me what it was. And then at the end of it, he said, it's like a tailor-made suit. Just ask for what you want. Wow. I said, okay. He released me. I went back to my seat. He went off to somebody else who was talking. And he stopped in the middle and turned to me. God keeps saying it's like a tailor-made suit. Just ask for what you want. I was like, yes, sir, I got you. He went on again and turned to me again. He said, it's like a tailor-made suit. God keeps telling me to tell you, just ask for what you want. It's yours. Just ask for it. And so I went on about my business and whatnot. And it wasn't until later on when my friend told me that he wasn't doing men's clothing anymore that I said, you know what? I want my own clothing line.
Right.
And then immediately my mind went to what he told me.
Right.
Ask for what you want. And so I said, okay, God, this is what I want. Now, which I was get back to what you said, just because God gives you a vision for something, that doesn't mean that it's immediately for right then.
Right. That's right.
He gives you a picture of what's to come, but now it's time for you to put in the work.
Absolutely.
So some people, they say, okay, I'm gonna be a fashion designer or whatever it is, and they immediately say, okay, I'm gonna go put this together and I'm gonna start selling this. No,
it don't work like that.
Yeah. You got to put in some work, and especially something like that,
Right?
Because think about it, there are clothes everywhere. Number one, what's going to set your stuff apart from everybody else?
Yeah.
What's going to make them say, I want to buy that versus going to the next person? So you got to look at all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things I'm also mentoring in the fashion. I have a couple of people that have come to me that was like, they wanted to learn how to sew and get. So I've worked with them to do that, pushing them towards their goals too. But that's what I'm pushing everybody. You got to take your time
and perfect your craft.
Exactly.
Right. But you know what though? That's what a lot of us don't do. We see, like if I see you and you're doing now, your clothes just for men, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I see you and I see your suits and stuff looking good, and I just started yesterday, but I want my suits to look like yours. It doesn't happen like that.
Right.
People want to start right where you are.
But it's that instant microwavable stuff everybody wants to do. They want it to be instant. They don't want to put it in the oven and let it slow cook or anything. They want it right then and right there and think it's supposed to pop.
Right. And there are some people that actually look up and do that and it works. But that's not the norm for everybody.
It's not.
Right.
Absolutely. And Ms. Go-Get, you're exactly right. But that's the world that we're living in now. It's the microwavable world. We want everything then and there. We don't want to wait. And just like when you were saying about when he showed you the vision, he gives you a glimpse.
Right.
And then the rest is you put in the work and then have that faith, right?
Yes.
But a lot of us is like, we want to see the whole 80-inch
Mhm.
right then and there. And then expect tomorrow we wake up and we have thousands or hundreds, in the bank, but it doesn't work like that.
And God purposely gives you pieces to ensure that as you go along, you have to depend on him for what is the next step. What is the next step?
Absolutely.
God will not give you a vision without, I've heard someone say, this isn't me, but God will not give you a vision without giving you provision. So everything that he tells you that he's going to do, he's always going to have something in line for you to pick up that's going to go along with your vision.
Right.
Not only that, he's going to have people strategically put in place so that as you're going along, I'm going to come in contact with this person.
That's right.
Okay, they're going to give me this insight. I'm going to get this person. I'm going to get this insight. And it's all going to come together so that eventually you're going to see exactly what it was that he showed you.
Right.
But by the time you see it right there, guess what? He's showing you something else. Okay, now let's go further.
Right.
You trusted me enough to get to this point. Now let me take you to the next part.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You
Now,
just said a whole word.
And actually, let me tell you something. You did, and you just stepped on all of my toes. But it was a good step. It was a good step because what I'm learning is that, in my prayer and learning to ask God for those people.
Yes.
Too, and then have a spirit of discernment as well, because that's very important. And it's like now, and it's like a battle though, because you like when you have a vision and you're going through whatever it is your personal journey is, it seems like it can get stressful because you're trying to figure out which way to go. And I guess it's because you're on your own agenda then. But once you get in line with God, it's like, okay, turn it over to him and allow him to do, and then you just walk along with them.
Right.
So I guess it's a part of learning.
It's a part of learning, and it is also a part of a relationship.
Right.
Just like you two, I'm sure, are quite like sisters. You can go to her and say, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and you can depend on her to be there to help you get there. It's the same way with God. God, I want this, or you showed me this. Now I'm going to have the faith to allow you to do what you do.
That's right.
Right.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to be working on my end to make sure that I'm ready. So when you bring that here, I can walk right into it.
Exactly.
It's this is nothing but all confirmation, because I was just speaking with another guy, and we were talking about being ready, and not getting ready.
Right.
A lot of us don't want to put in the work, but we want to say we're ready.
Right.
And God doesn't give it to us because he know that we're not
Ready.
Yeah. That's like somebody saying, God, I want you to give me $1 million. Well, what did you do with the $1,000 that I gave you?
Exactly.
I can't trust you with that because you ain't even being a good steward over this little yet. So
now that's her over there. She is good for saying that. I ain't gonna bless you. You ain't a good steward over what you already got. And that's true. That's true. That is so true. Okay, so you're doing the clothes. You're doing the mentoring. Now, you say you like to travel, or you want to travel even more. But what are 2 or 3 things that people don't know about you just by looking at you?
Well, everyone thinks I'm mean. And the reason behind that is I'm always, anytime you see me, I'm usually have a straight face, looking very stern.
Right. You did when I walked in. Yes, I was late. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Now I know I'm late, but who is this? I had to ask him, well, who are you? Because he was looking like, you late, and I'm running.
Look.
Like, I'm early.
Well, that's not what that look was for. However, when just like that, people see me all the time and they immediately think I'm the meanest person in the world. But it's quite the opposite. What people don't realize is I'm involved with so much. My mind is constantly going. This is the next thing I got to do. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. If I don't constantly run stuff in my head and make it make sense in my head, then I can't be effective in doing it when I go out. So
you're talking about me, aren't you?
Look.
Because look, that's why I was late. I had to call. I was sitting there just thinking and doing stuff. And I was just running. I had a whole thing running through my head. Wasn't even paying attention to the clock, the phone, nothing. And all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I got to be there. But then I'm saying to myself, I have to be there at 6, right? But I'm still doing what I'm doing. Then I said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave here at 6." And then I had to say, "Girl, what are you talking about? How you gonna be there at 6 and leave at 6?"
Yeah.
My mind was somewhere else, but go ahead, because I know you're talking about me. But go ahead.
And let's see what else.
So you are not mean, even though that's how you look. You're not mean.
Yeah. I even with my clothing line, I designed my own D. Anthony bear. That's a mean looking bear.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, he can freehand anything. So I talked to him. I said, look, this is what I want. And he designed it for me. So when I do launch back out and I do my streetwear line, I'm going to have my D. Anthony mean bear to come out.
Okay.
That represents me.
Okay, so you said your street wear. So
Mhm.
now you do, what kind of wear you do now?
Well, I do more casual wear.
Okay.
So let's see. When I originally started the clothing line, my mindset is I'm more of, you wouldn't think to look at now, but more of the preppy type.
Okay.
The Tommy Hilfiger and all that kind of stuff. That's the style that I want.
Okay.
When I started, I actually had a couple of friends that wanted me to make things. So I'm a part of the Church of God in Christ. Every year. Yeah,
I should have known.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I was messing with you.
So one of my first friends, his name is Devon Mickey.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you know Devon. Yes. Okay. So he, right now, Devon, well, he used to be a large guy.
Right.
But he was always impeccably dressed. So when he heard that I made stuff, he was like, Dave, I'm tired of getting stuff out the store. That's just not me. I want something more lively.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing stuff for him. Now he came to me when I first started. So, I'm like, okay, Devon, I can do it. But look, we got to work on this. I'm learning as I go. He's like, I don't care. Make it for me. I'm going to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my biggest pusher then. I think we probably did like 50 some shirts for him. Wow. Yeah, every time you turn around, he said, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this.
And you were doing it.
And doing that.
Yeah. He
would always post and people would be like, oh, that's amazing. Then my other friend, my brother, Patrick Riddick, he directs with our national choir. Mm-hmm. So one year they said they want something African. Mm-hmm. So he was like, I know everybody's going to go to the vendors and buy all the same stuff. I want something different. Anybody that knows Patrick, Patrick. Right. He ain't going to be like everybody else.
Yeah, he will stand out. Yeah.
Yeah. So he came to me and I made him something and he went and he posted it. And I saw the post. Mm-hmm. I went to sleep. I woke up the next day, I had over 200 friend requests.
Wow.
Then I went to work. I came back. I had like 60 DMs. Look, I need you to make X, Y, and Z. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? I said, Patrick, who are these people? He said, look, because I made him something for just about every day and he wore something different. He was like, look, every single day that I walk down these halls, people are literally stopping me like, where did you get that? I want one of those. He was like, look, dude, get ready because these people are coming.
Mm-hmm. Overflow.
It was. Mm-hmm. And that was really a shock to me. That was like, wait, okay. A lot of people don't know that with my business, it's just me. Mm-hmm. I shop for the fabric, I do the cutting, I do the sewing, I do the packaging, I do the shipping, everything is just me.
One man show.
Yeah. That's so now that people are ordering, they're ordering like 4 or 5 things at a time. And then when people come, look, I want this, I'm saying, don't call me at the last minute.
Right. Right.
Some people I will go the extra mile because of the relationship that we have, and I'll do so. But everybody, I'm like, no, I can't do that.
That's right.
Y'all not gonna kill me.
Yeah.
But thank God, I've now another new mentor that I have named Mr. David President. I was able to partner with him, and through my partnership with him, so going back to that word I started. African stuff is what really started getting people to come to me.
Okay.
Now, my vision was the Tommy Hilfiger type.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. But this goes back to what I was saying. It's good for you to have a relationship with God and let him do the leading.
Right.
I did that one shirt for him in the African attire and thinking it was just going to be a one-off. Mm-hmm. But now everybody that comes to me, they want all African inspired stuff. That's what really put me out there. Like, look, come to that.
I was looking at your stuff. Yeah. Okay. Now I see.
So that wasn't my vision, but that was, God was like, look, I'm going to get you there, but this is how I'm going to do it.
Right.
Trust me enough to go through this. And so like I said, I love bright, bold patterns, anything, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna wear it.
Mhm.
And didn't know that there was a real market out there for people
For
that
it,
wanted the
yeah.
same thing. Especially me, a
Mhm.
lot of men, you don't want bright and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But times are changing now. People don't care no more. Like,
Right,
let me
definitely
stand
right.
up.
These guys
Right.
dressing better than the women now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and you see him in church, you be like, "Hey, Pastor so and so, he clean, and she
Yeah.
looking like she belonged to a holiness church, you know, and he clean."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Times have definitely changed.
Yeah.
Everybody, is doing them, and
Mhm.
that's cool too.
So
Now,
at this point, oh, sorry,
go ahead,
Gam.
Ms. Gogan.
So you started off with your plan. Your business plan was one thing, the
Mhm.
preppy,
Mhm.
but was putting you on the map and getting you to work.
Mhm.
It's African print.
God's
Right.
plan.
Right. So have you transitioned to start adding more of the preppy into your collection?
Yes. Now that I have actually partnered with Mr. President, now I actually have access to a manufacturer.
Oh.
So where it used to be me doing everything, I
Mhm.
don't necessarily have to do that anymore. I can take the measurements and send the information, but this is opening the door for me to do full tailor-made suits
Right.
and
That's what I was
everything.
going to ask you about. the
Going
tailor-made.
towards all that coats, anything, I can really focus more on the design,
Mm-hmm.
and that way I can put more stuff out there.
Okay.
So what about women wear? Are you planning or thinking that you might want to
Honestly
do
and
that?
truly, I have absolutely no desire to do women's fashion. And here's my thing with
That's
that.
all.
Now, outside of my mother
Yeah.
and my sister, Toledo. Hey y'all, because I know they're watching. But the thing, so with my tunics are basically long shirts. They're more the
Right.
African styles. Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
So I've had several of my sisters come to me and say, "Hey, I want a dress." I'm like, I don't do that.
Mm,
But a tunic is basically a long
A
shirt.
long shirt.
Get you some pearls, get you a belt,
right.
wrap it around you,
Yeah,
going
you're
about your
dressed.
business.
Yeah.
Right. So all the ladies came to me and I told them that, and no one ever actually followed up. But my current pastor's wife came to the studio with him one day, and when he was
Mhm.
picking up his shirt, she said, "Let me try this on." She went in there and tried it on. She said, "Wait a minute, I can wear this." So she
Mhm.
picked out some fabric. I made her a tunic. And if you actually go to my Instagram, you can see her up there. She's standing in the street with the big blue floral. It looks like a dress, but it's actually a men's shirt.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She put her hat on, she did it up, she put her necklace and all that on.
Mhm.
You would never know that it was a man's shirt. So I tell women all the time, I'm not necessarily going to design specifically for women, but there are options for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now give me 2 pet peeves of yours.
I definitely hate procrastination.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You don't do well with that.
not at all. And then I hate having to ask more than twice for anything.
Oh yeah. You know what?
Yeah, I
he's
said
gonna
that
get
before.
he believed.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I believe him on that one.
Yeah.
I asked you once. Okay,
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
Curtis, 3 times.
And especially
It
if
ain't
you
happening.
say, "Yes, I'm going to do it,"
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to come back and ask you again. And I understand when things come up, that's something. But when I know for sure that there ain't nothing going on and you just sitting back procrastinating, no,
Right.
that burns me up. And I won't use you anymore.
I definitely understand. Well, I have enjoyed you thus far. I mean, I have really enjoyed you. And the whole thing is, I was sitting here thinking, like, you were nervous coming in, but look, it's been an hour already.
Really?
It's been an hour. See,
Oh, wow.
it's like that when you having fun and you're vibing and you're
Right.
speaking about
And
me.
you did good talking about
He
yourself
did.
the whole
You
time.
did.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes. But one of your titles you forgot to tell people though. That title that I asked you about earlier. The COO for your church.
Yes, I am now
Yeah.
currently the Chief Operations Officer for my church, New Jerusalem Church of God in Christ.
That's okay.
And what is that?
COO.
I handle the day-to-day operations of the ministry.
So how do you make time for all that? You handling the day-to-day operations for the ministry, you the executive administrator for your day job. Then you're a designer. Then you do the mentor, although the mentorship is only once a year, but you still have to prepare.
Right.
And then especially when you have that many students coming, you really have to prepare.
It's a lot, but it also comes with knowing how to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that you got to get done right. That's what I said. A lot of times when I'm sitting there and I may be looking mean, but I just have stuff going. This is what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But it honestly does take a special kind of person to be able to do all of that.
To balance it, yeah.
Right. Now, the further that I go, especially when I start pursuing my business more, I am starting to scale back with other things. So like for instance, my full-time job, actually February the 1st, I am going part-time.
Okay.
And it's not something that's easy for me to do because I absolutely love my job. I love what I do. I love administration. I love being there to help everyone else. However, the more you do for someone else, the less time you have to focus on your own.
Exactly.
So with my church, even though I'm the COO now, I am actually working with others to try and get them into place. Okay, everything shouldn't fall on one person.
Right.
That's why you have different people to focus on different areas so you can further do that. So once I get other people in place to be able to do that, then I can step back from that a little bit more. And then I will have even more time to focus. And then eventually,
Right.
So yeah.
Well, it seems like you have it all planned out because, and definitely when you prepare those around you so that the ship can float without you.
Right.
So
and that's
that
what
way you
people
can
need to know
focus
about
on
their
your stuff.
business as well. Like, look, you have the vision, but you have people that come on to work with you. You got to know how to let certain things go so that you can focus on the next part of the vision to ensure that it keeps going.
Right.
Which is hard.
It is hard, especially when it's your baby.
Yeah. It is. It's very hard. But I wanted to let me say this before I go. David is worth his weight in gold. Don't know what we would do without him at New Jerusalem. That's from what I guess it's your pastor.
Why do yeah, that's my pastor. Hey, pastor.
Hey, pastor. Yeah, that was your pastor. So I had to let you know that before we go. But I definitely want to thank you for coming by because not only did you talk about what you're doing as far as a youth, you talked about ministry as well. So and everything basically lined up. So hopefully somebody will get something out of this message. And that's for me, the episode. That's why I want people to take away something. I want people to be empowered, to be inspired. So he said, hey. Hopefully someone will take something away from this episode tonight that no matter what you can do it. You can do it.
Definitely.
So let's go get it. What did you take away from tonight?
That's exactly what I took away from it. That, although you and I also felt like he was talking about me because my mind stay going. I'd be like in a daze, like, hey, you see me? Yeah, I see you, but I don't see you because my mind is just thinking about everything else. But at the same time, I took away from you how everything lined up for you actually. How you started out young, drawing, you want to be an architect, but although you didn't, continue to feel as an architect, you are actually still designing. You're designing the life of young people. You're designing your clothing line. You're designing the life for your day job. Then you're designing for the church. So you still designing stuff because you're organizing, you're putting it in the place, you're connecting the dots. You get
and
what
if
I'm
I
saying?
can, I definitely want to say this. Nothing that you've ever gone through or done is lost.
Right.
Just because you pursued something and it didn't work, maybe it wasn't for that time. Or even like me going to school for architecture. I still do architecture design. However, it was a setup for me to do
what
this.
You're doing now. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Everything else.
That's it.
Years passed between me doing architecture and this. And I honestly got to one point where I was like, you know what? Well, the architecture thing is just gone.
Yeah.
But when I opened that pattern, everything came right back.
Yep.
So don't ever think that just because something is dormant now, that it's just like we do with the kids. Dams will arise. It's just it's a dream. It's not dead. It's just sleep.
It's just sleep. And you just had to wake it up.
Right.
But although you might have woke up your reading the blueprint or your architectural dream, you still doing it. You just
Right.
doing it in a different way.
Different
Exactly.
manner, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but you're still doing it.
Mhm.
So,
Right. You're absolutely correct. He's
Mhm.
doing it not his way,
right.
but
But
he's doing the
God's
way God's way.
Right.
Mhm.
Is definitely God's will, because I mean it's making room for you.
It
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And they said that your gifts will make room for you. So that's exactly what
Okay.
it's doing. And I'm excited. Like I'm excited because I'm like, now I know some. Well, you say you make women's clothes, so forget that one. I would say, well, now I know somebody that I
But
can
you
call.
might make a blazer. I'm thinking a blazer
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
Actually,
Because you can do a
be
blazer
done.
for me. Yeah.
Since I have the means now for the manufacturer, that's definitely something that can be done. However, I will link you all with some reputable people that I do know that do women's clothing that you definitely be happy with.
Well,
Okay.
we definitely have enjoyed you. Like I said, I took away a lot from tonight, and I've learned a lot. And it's good to be a student sometimes.
Hold on, Gam. I need to say this right quick before you close it out, because I know once you finish talking, you close it, slam out. I mean, like once she finished talking, y'all, she go right into the song. But okay, for the mentorship for people with their kids, how can they tell them again? How can they enroll their kids for next year?
You can find us on Facebook or Instagram, Arise Youth Conference. You can actually go to my Facebook page if you would like, and I can send you the information directly. We do have registration that opens up every year before the conference. So we have an idea of who wants to come, what classes you want, to make sure that we have all that provided.
So someone in Suffolk with their kid, are they able to enroll their kid and just drive them on over to him? Okay, so they can't be from
There is no. We've had people come from out of town to the conference. So yeah,
Wow.
it's open to
like
everyone.
It's like a big thing.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all get those kids
so hold on,
enrolled.
let me ask you this. So before we go, and Miss Go Get This right, I will just shut it off. But so it's like the way I'm thinking of you guys' conference is it something like the annual conference that you guys have, or is it the COGIC? What is it called that y'all have every year?
Yeah, that's our national convocation.
National convocation.
However, that is more geared towards services. The saints coming back together to get rejuvenated, your reformation. However, with us, we're more, although we do have the spiritual side, we focus heavily on the educational side as well. So you're getting both parts of that mixed in. So it's still like the other conferences too. They break out into their day sessions. They have classes in whatever area. So yeah, it's kind of like the same thing.
Okay. So before we go, can you please tell us, like, give us like your experience with us tonight, like far as Wait Again Minute podcast. Like, how did you feel? Like, and we're not gonna beat you up.
Oh no.
So I want you to be honest and let the viewers and listeners know how you felt.
This was actually a great experience for me. Like I said, when I told y'all before, I watched y'all when y'all were back at the house.
Right.
Never having any idea that I would actually be sitting here as one of the people that y'all interviewed. But you all, I came in, you all made me feel welcome immediately when I came in.
Right.
And that made a big difference. So it was easy for me to just chill. All of my friends were like, "Don't worry, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna be all right." And I'm like, I told you. I actually came down here at 5:30. I know you said be here at 6:30, but I said I wanted to see where the place is. Then I went all the way back down to the other end of Suffolk, and I sat in the park. I actually drove to a church. I pulled in the parking lot. I took my oil out my bag and anointed myself. I said, "God, I'm about to call these folks and be like, look, emergency came up, I can't do it."
Right.
But I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, because I'm like, it's last minute. Okay, what if they don't have another guest? So I said, no, I'm not going to do that, because I wouldn't want anybody to do that to me.
Right.
But sitting here, this is amazing. Like you said, your friend said, I think, don't worry, you want to do another one again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, with y'all, I wouldn't mind doing another one.
And we know what, and we would love to have you back, because I like when people come in, they be like, "Oh, I'm nervous," but I know once the first couple of minutes roll, I know God is gonna move. So, and that's why we always pray and make sure we on one accord. So, you came and you did your thing.
Thank you. And I will say to you all, thank you all for this platform to put people forward, because some people would never have the opportunity to be put out there like that, where people know what's going on.
Right.
Y'all are doing an amazing job. So kudos to y'all for this.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. Miss Gogan, you got any last words? I know you probably want to say something else.
No, I don't.
So with that being said, you got any last words? Mr. Wilson.
I pray that, like you said, something that was said would be inspiring to someone to go back to those dreams, those books, those notes that you had, revisit them. Get on your knees, pray, and seek God for Him to give you the direction of what to go to, so that you can go pursue those dreams.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So that being said, guys, we're gonna get on out here. We're gonna end it with our theme song. Yes, he is COGIC, so he know how to bump his head a little bit.
Let's go. Yo,
Listen up.
everybody. Have you heard the news?
We got a brand new show that's breaking all the rules.
Started out from BA
And now we on the move.
From local to global, cause
We got something to prove.
We came from the bottom, now we at the tippy top to hold it down for our people,
Cause we all we got.
This is cold world, but we
Keeping it hot.
with our future on the line.
Ain't no time to stop.
All work over here,
See,
still
we having fun.
Yeah, we say it like it is.
Ain't no holding our tongue. Go get us on the team. Yeah, we getting it done.
And shout out to Travell.
Yeah, you number one.
It started with a dream that
Turn into a vision.
Educated new generations
Is our mission.
And turn into a vision. Come on.
If you ain't about to change, mind your business.
Wait again, minute.
Wavy hands with it. Wait again, minute. Wavy hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wavy hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it. Now wait again, minute. Wavy hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wavy hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wavy hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it.
Good
Good night.
Good night.